Lieutenant Dan has now lost everything, including his boat. So now that this saga is over, let me tell y'all from start to finish the story about a man named Lieutenant Dan. So Dan was just chilling one day when a guy named Tampa Terrence happened to notice him and wanted to help him out. Now Dan accepted this help and quickly became very popular on social media. Now this popularity attracted the attention of a person named Check the Star, who noticed that Dan not only had a huge GoFundMe thanks to Terrence, a very lucrative kick deal thanks to Terrence, and he was getting interview after interview again thanks to Terrence. Now Check, seeing this, decided that he wanted to turn Dan against Terrence, and that's exactly what he did. Because after meeting Check, Dan started to do things like accusing Terrence of taking 100 from his GoFundMe. He also started to blame Terrence for anything in his life that went wrong. Now that kick deal that I mentioned before was offered by Aiden Ross, and Aiden noticed all of the bad things that Dan was doing, so he decided to rescind the kick deal and instead offer it to Terrence. Now Dan and Check were both very unhappy with this, but there really wasn't anything they could do about it because it was Aiden Ross's decision, not Dan's. Now Check has been around many other creators and many other situations that went south, and creators that had been involved with Check before actually came to warn Dan about Check and what all he does, but Dan of course did not listen. And now, because of everything that has gone down, Dan is actually having to auction off his boat. All of this could have been prevented if Dan hadn't have aligned himself with this Check the Star guy. He had a deal that if he had pursued, he could have potentially brought in millions, but because he aligned himself with the wrong person and allowed greed to consume him, he essentially threw all of that away over $100.